New York City Police Commissioner Bill Bratton pleading with officers not to turn their backs on Mayor de Blasio again. He is concerned about a funeral for the second officer gunned down in an ambush now scheduled for Sunday. Police turned their backs on de Blasio during the first officer's service. Bratton writes in a memo, quote, "A hero's funeral is about grieving, not grievance. I issue no mandates and I make no threats of discipline, but I remind you that when you don the uniform of this department, you are bound by the tradition, honor, and decency that go with it." But the rift between police and de Blasio still is evident. On New Year's Eve, a plane flew over the Hudson with a banner reading, "De Blasio apologized to the NYPD." It was paid for by a group of current and retired New York officers. Joining us tonight, Niger Innis, national spokesperson for the Congress on Racial Equality and the executive director of the Tea Party.net. So welcome to the program. Let me ask you this. You make, I think, a very interesting statement here. You assert that Black America's best ally is the police. But isn't the beef with the police based on race and the attacks on Black Americans in this country?
Well, the reason I say that, and I say this from a analytical perspective, but also from a very personal perspective. You see, Cheryl, I grew up in New York, in Harlem, New York, in the 70s and the 80s, when the average murder rate was 2,000 murders per year, with an all-time high of 2,600 lives taken in 1990, pre-Rudy Giuliani, and before the police reforms, the aggressive policing tactics that came to fruition. Now, the overwhelming majority of those lives lost throughout the 70s and 80s, including two of my brothers that were murdered, come from Black and brown and poor communities. Therefore, when those police reforms were made by Rudy Giuliani and they were followed by his successor, and the murder rate went down close to 75%, and went down by 70 to 75%. So now you've got, instead of a murder rate of 2,000 per year, you've got a murder rate of 350 or less per year. Whose lives are saved? Those lives that are saved are going to disproportionately be Black and brown lives that are saved. So if we truly value life, we should not only value the nearly 130 lives that are taken by police officers, but how about the 5,000 to 6,000 lives that are often taken because of crime, and often Black-on-Black crime?
Well, you know, Niger, we just got in the murder rate tally for 2014 here in New York City, 328. It's actually a record low.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's interesting that you bring that up. But, you know, can de Blasio really take credit for this?
Well, no, of course not. I mean, the de Blasio disaster and what I call the Obama Holder de Blasio Sharpton police reforms that I think are going to reverse this historic, dramatic drop in crime, they're not going to come to fruition overnight. I mean, when Rudy Giuliani was elected in 1993 and then came into office in 1994, the crime rate did start to drop, but the dramatic drop in crime did not take place until his reforms really started to take effect, you know, year 2, year 3, year 4, and then continued under the Bloomberg administration. Tragically, I think with the political correct agenda of the Obama, Holder, Sharpton, de Blasio regime is going to have a disastrous impact on those very tactics that were used to save lives.
It's interesting that you bring up Al Sharpton and include him in the regime, because he's a talk show personality, if you can say that, on another network. But you know, he visited the White House 72 times. And, you know, yeah, and I mean, in your opinion, do you think that he has helped or hurt the Black community in all of this?
Well, he has hurt the Black community, and the fact is that Obama, Holder, his senior partners, and Sharpton have basically controlled this country's agenda in urban centers, not just for the last 6 years of the Obama administration, but if you really look at urban centers, they've been dominated by big government liberal progressives for nearly 50 years. And those policies have been a disastrous failure. And what they see here with these protests all around the country is to maintain their relevance. They cannot say that the unemployment rate is down in the Black community. They cannot say that economic opportunity is available for the Black community. They cannot say that Black kids are getting a decent education. So what do they want to say? Hands up, don't shoot.
Niger Ennis, you are such a voice on this, and it's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you very much for being here tonight, sir.
Happy New Year.
Oh, you too.